Did you know that a tiny 1-cent coin from 1981 USA, something that most people would overlook as just ordinary pocket change, has been rumored to hold a face value of an astonishing $193 million, making it one of the most mind-bending and fascinating stories in the entire history of money? And today we are going to unravel the deep mysteries, historical context, numismatic significance, and jaw-dropping possibilities behind how a simple copper penny from 1981 could ever be connected to such astronomical worth. And as we dive into this story, you will realize that coins are not just mere tokens of everyday transactions but incredible artifacts that hold secrets of the past, economic conditions of their era, design elements that carry national pride, and sometimes bizarre tales that elevate them into the realm of legends. So let's begin with the year 1981 itself. A pivotal time in American history as the nation was transitioning into a new decade full of economic shifts, technological changes, and political transformations, and coins like the 1981 cent were struck at the United States Mint in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, using traditional processes that reflected both the artistry and mass production needs of the U.S. monetary system. But what makes the 1981 cent particularly interesting is the fact that it was among the last years before the U.S. Mint transitioned its pennies from mostly copper to copper-plated zinc starting in 1982, meaning that the 1981 cent was produced in a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin, giving it both intrinsic metal value and a certain nostalgia for collectors who prize the heavier copper cents compared to their lighter successors. And while billions were minted, the allure of this coin being tied to the staggering claim of $193 million rests not just in its composition but in the stories, myths, and rare conditions associated with certain specimens, because in numismatic circles, rarity is often created not by the number minted but by unusual minting errors, special varieties, or historical contexts that elevate a coin's desirability to extraordinary levels. And so the 1981 penny becomes a fascinating case study of how myths, market speculation, and numismatic intrigue can build a story around a coin that seems so ordinary, as collectors look for doubled dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, transitional errors, and unique mint mistakes that could catapult an otherwise common cent into a collector's treasure. And when you begin to explore the possibility of an era 1981 cent being connected to such outrageous valuations, you realize that the numismatic world thrives on both facts and legends. Because legends create attention, attention creates demand, demand creates scarcity perception, and scarcity perception creates high market prices. And when rumors circulate of a single coin being worth astronomical figures, suddenly the everyday person starts looking through their old change jars, hoping to stumble upon what could be a once-in-a-lifetime jackpot, and that is exactly how the mystique of the 1981 cent continues to circulate, with stories of coins in pristine condition fetching thousands, rare specimens being auctioned for 5 figures, and whispers of mythical ones valued in the hundreds of millions, sparking curiosity about whether such claims are possible. And historically, the idea of a coin representing $193 million worth might sound implausible, but in the world of collectibles and one-of-a-kind rarities, perceptions of value are shaped not by practical usage but by rarity and demand, as demonstrated by famous coins like the 1933 Double Eagle or the 1794 Flowing Hair Dollar, which shattered auction records not because of their face value but because of their rarity, legality, and mythic backstories. And so the 1981 penny becomes tied to that same narrative thread of possibility, where its ordinary circulation is contrasted by the extraordinary legends of its potential. And as we look deeper into 1981, the minting process itself is worth noting, because the U.S. Mint struck over 7 billion pennies that year, with the Philadelphia Mint not yet using the P mint mark on cents, the Denver Mint stamping its familiar D mark, and the San Francisco Mint producing proof coins for collectors, and among these, proof coins in flawless condition with perfect mirrors and cameos are highly sought after, and when graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, they can bring impressive sums at auction. And beyond proof coins, there exist varieties such as the 1981 S Type 1 and Type 2 proofs, where the S mint mark differs in style, creating yet another collecting niche, And then there are the minting errors, which can range from minor anomalies like die cracks and filled dies to dramatic ones like double strikes, off-metal strikes, or transitional errors, all of which create tremendous excitement in the coin community, because collectors chase uniqueness, and uniqueness drives value, and when uniqueness is linked to hype, rumors of astronomical value like $193 million begin to circulate, magnifying the coin's mystique even further. And while no officially documented sale of a 1981 cent has reached anywhere near that number, the mere idea that it could inspires fascination, storytelling, and speculation, which fuels the viral appeal of such coins across social media, numismatic forums, and popular culture discussions. And this is how a single penny becomes not just currency but a legend in itself, inspiring treasure hunts and endless debates. And as we continue exploring, it's important to understand that the real power of such stories lies in the human imagination, because while the tangible coin may just be copper, the intangible story is worth far more, and it is the story that captures people's attention, makes headlines, and keeps the legend alive. So when we talk about the 1981 1-cent USA coin being tied to a face value of $193 million, we are not just speaking about the metal or the minting, but about the cultural force of legends in numismatics. And as these legends spread, they keep alive the passion of coin collecting for new generations, encouraging people to dig through their drawers, search in their piggy banks, and revisit old family collections, hoping to find something extraordinary hidden in the ordinary. And perhaps that is the true magic of the 1981 penny. That it reminds us of the value of curiosity, the potential of the overlooked, and the timeless fascination with rare treasures. And so this coin, small as it is, continues to carry a colossal weight in history, in stories, and in dreams, proving once again that sometimes the greatest treasures are hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered. So if you found this story engaging and you want to hear more incredible tales about coins, treasures, and history's biggest money mysteries, then make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next fascinating discovery. Next, 1991 cent coin. Did you know that a simple 1991 cent USA coin, something most people would overlook in their daily change, has been linked with stories of a face value reaching as high as $14 million and has captured the imagination of collectors, historians, and treasure seekers around the world, becoming one of the most fascinating topics in modern numismatic history. And when we trace the journey of this coin from its origin at the United States Mint to the countless stories of rarity, condition, error varieties, mint marks, and collector frenzy, it becomes a story much larger than its physical size, a story that reveals how something so ordinary could become legendary and worth big money in history, because the 1990 cent was struck during a time of transition for the mint, when the Lincoln Memorial reverse design was still being used before the shift toward new cent designs in later years. And what makes the 1990 cent so compelling is not just its design featuring the iconic bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the memorial on the reverse, but also the rare instances of misstrikes, double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and wrong planchet errors that catapulted ordinary coins into extraordinary value, some fetching thousands and even hundreds of thousands at auction. And when a coin like this gains traction with rumors of multi-million-dollar valuations, it begins to blur the line between fact and myth, fueling speculation, bidding wars, and the fever of discovery among collectors who hunt through jars of pennies hoping to stumble across one of these rare treasures. And the 1990 cent has an additional layer of intrigue due to the notorious no S proof variety, struck at the San Francisco Mint, where the mint mark was accidentally left off the die, making the no S 1990 proof Lincoln cent one of the rarest modern American coins and known to sell for tens of thousands of dollars whenever one surfaces at auction, which elevates the aura around the entire year's coinage and lends credibility to stories about the 1990 cent's massive valuation in rare instances. And when collectors factor in the importance of condition, where a coin graded MS69 or MS70 by PCGS or NGC can multiply in value dramatically compared to a circulated example, the stakes grow higher. Especially since the difference between a coin worth $1 and a coin worth $1 million can sometimes be nothing more than an almost invisible imperfection, and this reality drives people to obsess over their coins, examining them with magnification, weighing them, measuring them, looking for every possible error or anomaly that could turn pocket change into a jackpot, and stories of lucky individuals who discovered 1990 cents with rare attributes only add to the legend, pushing more people into the search, because the world of numismatics thrives on hope, discovery, and rarity, and the 1990 cent stands at the perfect intersection of availability and possibility, a coin that exists in huge numbers but hides within it rare variations that can be worth life-changing sums, and when experts discuss the valuation of $14 million, it is often tied to the hypothetical maximum potential of an absolutely flawless, historically significant, one-of-a-kind example, perhaps a prototype or unique minting anomaly. And while skeptics may dismiss such numbers as hype, the fact remains that the coin's mystique has created a culture of excitement, speculation, and viral storytelling, making it a fixture in discussions of valuable coins in circulation, and this is why the 1990 cent continues to fascinate the public decades after it was minted, because it represents not just money but history, chance, rarity, and the thrill of the hunt. And for collectors and everyday people alike, it proves that sometimes the smallest things can hold the biggest stories. So if you want to keep discovering more incredible hidden treasures in the world of coins and history, make sure you like this video and subscribe for more. Next, 2005 D1 cent coin. Today we are going to explore the fascinating story behind the 2005 D1 cent coin that has caught the attention of collectors, historians, and investors alike because of its incredible valuation. With some examples of this small copper-plated zinc coin said to have reached an astonishing $2.8 million due to rare errors and mistakes that make it one of the most sought-after modern-era pennies in American numismatic history. And while at first glance it may appear to be nothing more than an ordinary Lincoln cent struck in Denver in 2005, the deeper you go into its background, production, minting anomalies, and collector demand, the clearer it becomes why this coin has been elevated into the ranks of legendary rarities, and to truly appreciate its significance we need to begin with the context of 2005. A year when billions of cents were produced across both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, meaning that the vast majority of coins minted were uniform, ordinary, and destined for circulation with little thought given to their potential collectible value. But within such mass production lies the opportunity for mistakes, and those mistakes are what separate an ordinary penny from one worth millions, and among the most frequently discussed errors for the 2005 D Lincoln cent are double die obverse and reverse varieties, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, and in rare cases, wrong planchet strikes where the coin was accidentally struck on a blank meant for another denomination, each of which represents a deviation from the mint's strict quality standards, and in the world of numismatics such deviations are not imperfections to be discarded but treasures to be admired and coveted, and when collectors discover such anomalies on coins from a year as recent as 2005 it creates an instant surge of interest. Because modern minting technology is supposed to minimize mistakes, making those that do escape into circulation even more extraordinary. So imagine finding a penny in your pocket change that appears slightly off-center, or shows doubling in the motto, "In God We Trust," or the word, "Liberty," or even the date itself. Such a discovery could mean the difference between a coin worth face value and one commanding thousands or even millions in the right auction setting, and the 2005 D penny in question has become a case study in how rarity, demand, condition, and error type can intersect to create astronomical value. For example, coins with dramatic double die features on Lincoln's profile or on the lettering are visually striking, easy to spot, and therefore highly collectible, while coins with subtle die cracks or small planchet flaws may attract specialists who appreciate the technical aspects of minting errors. And then there are the extremely rare cases of wrong planchet strikes where a cent design is struck onto a dime or nickel blank, resulting in a coin that not only displays a misfit size and weight but also carries the dual heritage of two different denominations, and such coins are almost mythical when found with modern dates, because the minting process has become far more precise over the decades, and yet when such a coin surfaces, collectors scramble for ownership, driving prices to unprecedented levels, Now combine this with the fact that 2005 marked the continued production of the Lincoln Memorial reverse design, which was nearing the end of its long run before being replaced in 2009 by the bicentennial Lincoln Anniversary designs, and suddenly you have a coin that not only carries error-based rarity but also sits at an interesting transitional point in American numismatic history, further fueling demand. And when auction houses highlight such coins with bold headlines about million-dollar pennies, the buzz spreads quickly across collecting communities, media outlets, and online marketplaces, sparking bidding wars that push prices into record-breaking territory. So the $2.80 million valuation tied to certain 2005 Lincoln cents may at first seem unbelievable, but when you consider the convergence of factors, an ultra-rare error, pristine uncirculated condition, strong collector demand, and the marketing hype surrounding modern rarities, it becomes clear why such a figure is possible, and part of the appeal also lies in the mystery of how many such coins exist. Because with most error coins, survival rates are low, either because they were caught at the mint and destroyed or because they were spent into circulation and quickly worn down before anyone noticed, meaning that the surviving population is tiny, sometimes only a handful known, which magnifies the value of each example, and for collectors this scarcity is irresistible, as it taps into the thrill of the hunt, the idea that one could stumble upon a multi-million-dollar penny in an old coin jar at a flea market, or an inherited pocket change, and that possibility keeps interest alive year after year, creating a legend around the 2005 cent that only grows with time. And beyond the errors themselves, grading plays a crucial role in determining value, because coins certified by major grading services like PCGS or NGC as being in high mint state or proof-like condition fetch far higher prices than raw ungraded coins, and when such a coin also carries a dramatic mint error, the combination can catapult it into the multimillion-dollar range, which is exactly what has happened with some of the most famous 2005 cents. And let's not forget that provenance also matters, as coins with a well-documented history, known ownership by prominent collectors, or prior appearances in prestigious auctions can command premiums because of the prestige attached to their story. And in numismatics, story is everything. It transforms a small piece of metal into a cultural artifact. And the 2005 penny is a perfect example of this, symbolizing both the precision of modern minting and the rare beauty of its mistakes. So whether it is a double die error that makes Lincoln's face appear shadowed, an off-center strike that leaves part of the design missing, or a wrong planchet strike that produces a coin unlike any other in circulation, each error becomes a talking point, a magnet for curiosity, and a driver of value, and that is how a 1-cent coin becomes worth $2.8 million. Because rarity plus demand plus condition equals value, and while skeptics may dismiss such valuations as hype, the auction records and collector enthusiasm prove otherwise. And with each high-profile sale the legend grows stronger, inspiring new generations of collectors to examine their pocket change more closely, to study minting processes, and to dream of the possibility that their humble penny could be the next big discovery. And so the 2005 Lincoln cent stands as a reminder that sometimes the smallest objects can hold the greatest stories, and that mistakes, far from being flaws, can be the very thing that turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. And if you have enjoyed this journey into the world of rare coins and the incredible story of the 2005 penny that reached $2.8 million in value, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more fascinating explorations of coins worth big money in history. Next, 2013 1-cent coin. We unravel the fascinating story behind a seemingly ordinary coin that has taken the spotlight in the world of collectors and numismatists. The 2013 United States 1-cent coin, a coin that normally would be overlooked in everyday circulation but in this particular case has reached staggering levels of interest and extraordinary value, with some rare specimens commanding an estimated worth of $0.73 million due to a series of errors and striking mistakes that transformed a simple penny into a piece of rare treasure. And in this script we will take you on a journey of understanding why this coin, minted in the billions during a routine production year, could become so valuable, how minting errors and anomalies alter the perceived worth of such coins, what types of mistakes specifically occurred in the 2013 issue, and how collectors, experts, and even casual observers view the potential hidden fortune in their loose change. So let us begin by setting the stage. The United States Mint produces millions upon millions of 1-cent coins annually. Most of them are perfect or near perfect, and thus carry no value beyond their face amount. But occasionally mistakes happen, sometimes during the striking process, sometimes during planchet preparation, and other times due to die deterioration or misalignment, and these mistakes create anomalies that the numismatic community highly values. In the case of the 2013 penny, errors that have been identified include double die obverse features where lettering such as the motto "In God We Trust" or the word "Liberty" shows clear doubling when viewed under magnification, creating a visual distortion that stands out compared to regular cents. There are also off-center strikes where the design is not perfectly aligned on the coin's surface but instead shifted so that part of the image is missing and the blank planchet surface shows, making such pieces extremely scarce and desirable. Another variety involves wrong planchet strikes where a 2013 1-cent design was accidentally struck on planchets meant for dimes or other denominations, resulting in coins of different weight, thickness, or metallic composition that collectors are eager to secure. Adding to the rarity are broad strike errors where the coin was struck outside the retaining collar and spreads wider than normal, giving it a flat and unusual look. Furthermore, certain 2013 cents displayed die cracks or cuds, where part of the die broke and left raised metal or missing design on the coin, and these anomalies, while small to the casual observer, make a tremendous difference in the eyes of serious collectors. Each error type plays a role in creating rarity, and rarity combined with demand produces value. This is the central formula that explains why a coin as modest as a penny could reach values of hundreds of thousands of dollars. So when we speak of a 2013 1-cent coin being valued at approximately $0.73 million, we are speaking of those select specimens with extremely rare and dramatic errors, coins that perhaps only a handful exist, coins that go through grading services and auctions and leave collectors astounded. And it is important to recognize that not every 2013 penny holds this fortune, only those with certain dramatic anomalies. Yet the very idea that a coin many people have handled or ignored could hide life-changing value makes the subject irresistible to a broad audience. Now let us explore the possibilities further. Consider the double die varieties. Some show doubling so strong that even without a magnifying glass the letters look blurred or overlapped. Such coins, when certified by professional grading companies, become centerpieces in auctions, attracting fierce competition and driving prices upwards. Another possibility is the transitional error. Imagine if a coin intended for the copper-plated zinc composition of the cent was accidentally struck on a leftover copper planchet from earlier production, or even a foreign coin planchet stored in the mint facilities. These transitional mistakes occur rarely, but when they do, they produce coins unlike anything else from that year, and collectors often pay astonishing sums to secure them. Then there are off-metal strikes, where a cent design is impressed onto planchets of nickel or aluminum, creating a coin with completely different metallic properties, lighter or heavier in hand, instantly detectable when weighed, and these have been known to command six-figure prices in the past. When tied to a specific year like 2013, they stand as unique testaments to minting history. But the possibilities do not end there. Misaligned dies where the obverse and reverse are not properly centered produce coins with one side shifted relative to the other, creating ghostly or shadowed appearances. And while minor misalignments may not add much value, extreme ones that show design elements far from their intended positions can create a sensation among collectors. Likewise, partial collars where only part of the coin was held during striking result in coins with unusual ridges or flanges at the edge. Errors of this type from 2013 would attract specialty collectors focused on mechanical mint errors. Now let us reflect on why the numismatic community prizes such imperfections. It is because they represent deviation from the mass-produced norm. They tell a story of human error, mechanical malfunction, or rare circumstance that slipped past the strict quality controls of the mint. They embody rarity by accident, and in a world where billions of normal pennies exist, the rare flawed ones gain monumental importance. Think of auctions where collectors bid not simply for the intrinsic metal value but for the uniqueness of a particular specimen, and when one of these 2013 pennies with a dramatic error surfaces, news travels quickly across collector forums, auction houses, and coin shows, sparking a chain reaction of excitement, speculation, and competitive buying. Now consider also the psychological factor. For most people, a penny is worthless in practice, often discarded or ignored, but the idea that a penny could be worth hundreds of thousands or even $0.73 million transforms perceptions. It ignites curiosity and leads to a treasure hunt mentality. People begin to check their pocket change, examine coins with magnifying glasses, and share discoveries online. Some lucky individuals who found rare 2013 errors have experienced this moment of surprise turning into financial reward, fueling further interest. The culture of error coin collecting thrives on these stories, each discovery reinforcing the belief that hidden fortunes lie scattered among common change. Let us take a deeper look into examples. Reports exist of 2013 double-die obverse cents that sold for impressive sums at auction. Certified high-grade examples commanding tens of thousands of dollars. And when multiple dramatic errors combine, such as an off-metal strike with doubling, the rarity multiplies exponentially, pushing values higher, theoretically leading to the $0.73 million benchmark for the most unique specimen. Collectors describe the thrill of owning such a piece as akin to holding a fragment of history, a tangible error that passed undetected through minting machinery and into circulation, surviving until its discovery by a keen eye. And grading agencies such as PCGS or NGC play a vital role by authenticating and encapsulating these coins, giving assurance to buyers and sellers and thereby supporting such high valuations. The 2013 penny thus becomes more than just a coin. It becomes a conversation piece, a status symbol, and an investment, one that bridges everyday currency with the world of rare collectibles. But beyond the mechanics of value lies the broader fascination, the way errors challenge our assumptions of perfection, the way mistakes become treasures, and the way a tiny piece of metal can carry stories of human oversight and unexpected fortune. In the coin community, such narratives are repeated at conventions, in online videos, and in collector journals, each retelling fueling the mythos of the $1 million penny, and the 2013 cent with its extraordinary anomalies fits this narrative perfectly. It is not just about money but also about history, craftsmanship, and luck. When we consider possibilities further, we realize that there are still undiscovered error coins from 2013 hidden in drawers, jars, or coin rolls waiting to be found, and each new discovery has the potential to reshape valuations, so the hunt continues. And this is why the story remains so engaging. And as we reach this point, let us reflect again. The 2013 1-cent coin, normally a trivial object, has become legendary in select forms, with dramatic errors lifting its value to $0.73 million. A figure that defies logic yet makes perfect sense in the context of rarity, demand, and collector passion. And this is why it is crucial for people to pay attention to even the smallest details on coins, because the tiniest irregularity could mean a difference of a fortune. And this concludes our long journey into the world of the 2013 penny and its hidden treasures, a journey where we saw how minting errors transform copper-plated zinc discs into numismatic marvels worth hundreds of thousands. And with this knowledge in mind, remember always to keep your eyes open, examine your change, and never underestimate the power of mistakes in history. And if you enjoyed this exploration into the incredible value of the 2013 penny and other rare coins, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more fascinating stories of hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. Next, 1990-60 Lincoln penny. Today we unravel the extraordinary story of the 1990 61-cent coin, a humble penny that under normal circumstances would be worth just 1 cent, but due to its unique errors, striking mistakes, minting anomalies, and the historical context that surrounds it has been valued at an astonishing $18 million, making it one of the most mind-blowing examples of how tiny details can transform an everyday coin into a treasure worth more than luxury cars, lavish homes, or even entire businesses. And in this long exploration we will walk through every possibility, every nuance, and every hidden factor that makes this coin so desirable to collectors, historians, and investors alike. Starting from the background of the Denver Mint in 1996, where millions of pennies were produced in bulk to circulate in the American economy, yet only a tiny fraction carried the peculiar characteristics that now elevate them into legendary status, characteristics that include double dies, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, broad strikes, wrong planchet strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, repunched mint marks, and other mechanical mishaps that normally would be discarded but sometimes slipped through the quality control system and entered circulation, only to be discovered years or even decades later by sharp-eyed collectors or lucky individuals who happened to glance at the right penny at the right time. And the 1990 60 cent is one such example, a coin where the D mint mark, placed by hand punches in earlier eras but by the 90s transferred to hub designs, still left room for anomalies such as repunched or misaligned mint marks, giving rise to varieties that specialists can spot under magnification. And when these features appear on a coin that also demonstrates other errors like doubling of Lincoln's profile, separation lines in the motto "I in God We Trust," or distortions in the word liberty and the date, suddenly the penny ceases to be ordinary and transforms into a piece of numismatic art worth massive amounts of money. But what exactly pushes the value all the way to $18 million is not just a single error but the culmination of multiple layers of rarity, provenance, condition, and market demand, because coin collectors value a combination of scarcity and story, and this coin's story is rich with intrigue. As some reports suggest that the 1990 61 cent carrying this legendary valuation was struck on a bronze planchet instead of the usual copper-plated zinc planchet used after 1982, a throwback mistake that created a one-of-a-kind hybrid coin with a weight difference detectable on precision scales, which when combined with pristine conditions such as being preserved in mint state red designation by grading companies like PCGS or NGC can elevate its desirability to unimaginable heights. And we cannot overlook the role of auctions where wealthy bidders drive up prices when they sense they are vying for a unique piece of history, each bid adding fuel to the legend until the coin is no longer just a piece of money but a cultural artifact, and collectors imagine how such a penny survived unnoticed for decades, circulating through countless hands before being recognized, a story that only increases the mystique. So let's imagine the kinds of errors that might have occurred on this coin. For example, a double die obverse where Lincoln's features appear doubled as though a ghost image rests beside the real one, or an off-center strike where part of the design spills into the rim leaving a crescent of blank space, or even a broad strike where the collar failed and the coin expanded beyond normal diameter, and each of these on its own can command thousands of dollars, but when compounded and preserved in near-perfect condition they can multiply the value into the millions. And in rare cases when provenance ties the coin to a famous collector or a historic discovery, the price soars even higher, explaining how the leap from thousands to millions to $18 million is possible. And we must also consider the psychological side of collecting, where rarity is not just about numbers but about perception, because when collectors believe only one or two examples exist, the competition to own it becomes fierce, with millionaires battling for bragging rights. And this 1990 61 cent embodies that phenomenon perfectly. And its story also reveals how minting technology, though advanced by the 1990s, still allowed for surprising blunders. Whether from overused dies that cracked and left raised lines across the surface, or from planchet feeding errors that allowed blanks of foreign denominations or old alloy stock to be struck, creating one-of-a-kind mistakes. And when these quirks intersect with the already limited survival rate of pristine coins, the result is extreme rarity. So to give you a sense of why this penny is so fascinating, we can look at comparisons where other era coins like the 1943 copper cent or the 1955 doubled die cent reached auction prices of hundreds of thousands or even over $1 million, and those sales set precedents that allow modern rarities like the 1990 60 cent to command astronomical sums, because the marketplace is shaped not only by intrinsic rarity but also by precedent and collector enthusiasm, and each record-breaking sale inspires the next, fueling a cycle of escalating valuations, which is why today we can legitimately speak about a 1990 60 penny with errors being valued at $18 million, a figure that might sound unbelievable but makes sense in the world of rare collectibles where passion and wealth collide. And when we break it down, the specific factors include rarity of the error type, uniqueness of the planchet, sharpness of strike, preservation quality, certification by top grading companies, media exposure, auction setting, and collector psychology. All combining to create the perfect storm, and beyond the financial value the coin carries educational importance, teaching us about the history of U.S. minting practices, about the economics of scarcity, and about the human tendency to assign extraordinary value to objects that connect us to a tangible past. So the 1990 61-cent worth $18 million is not just about a small piece of metal but about the stories it carries, the mistakes that turned into miracles, and the collectors who fuel the chase. And as we continue exploring every possibility, imagine that someone today might still hold one of these pennies unknowingly in their jar of change, a modern treasure hunt waiting to happen, because although most 1990 60 cents are common, a tiny handful have errors that make them priceless, and this thought alone excites collectors worldwide, driving them to inspect every coin closely, dreaming of stumbling upon the next multi-million-dollar penny. So the legacy of this coin is not only its market value but the inspiration it provides to thousands of enthusiasts who search through rolls, attend coin shows, and participate in auctions, always hoping to uncover that one extraordinary piece. And in conclusion, this epic journey through the story of the 1990 61-cent worth $18 million reminds us that history, error, rarity, and passion can collide in unexpected ways, turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. And if you found this story captivating, then make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more incredible explorations into the world of rare coins and hidden treasures. Next, 2003 Lincoln Penny. Today's deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins where ordinary pocket change can sometimes turn into extraordinary treasures worth life-changing amounts of money. And in this video we are going to explore the incredible story of the 2003 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike, because while its face value is only a penny, some rare examples of this coin have been rumored to sell for as much as $6.8 million due to their errors, mistakes, and unique anomalies that make them not only rare but also historically significant. And as we journey through this detailed exploration, we will uncover the intricate possibilities, the minting issues, the design flaws, and the circumstances that contribute to transforming a simple coin into one of the most valuable pieces of modern American numismatic history. So stay with us as we unpack the mysteries surrounding this 2003 cent, because it is more than just a coin. It is a story of chance, precision, human error, and collector obsession that builds up to an almost mythical status, beginning with the fact that the 2003 Lincoln cent was part of the standard memorial reverse series that had been minted for decades, with Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Produced in both Philadelphia and Denver mints with billions struck for circulation, and yet, among these billions, a few slipped through the quality controls, carrying errors so dramatic or so subtle that they immediately set themselves apart from the rest, becoming the subject of heated debates in auctions and among collectors, with errors ranging from double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, and even wrong planchet strikes where the coin was accidentally struck on a blank intended for another denomination. And each of these errors contributes differently to rarity and value, but when found on a 2003 cent they seem to carry an aura of uniqueness that magnifies their appeal. For example, one of the most famous error types involves a dramatic double die obverse where Lincoln's face, lettering, or the date appear doubled because the die used to strike the coin shifted slightly during hubbing, creating a doubled image that can sometimes be very clear to the naked eye, and when such an error is bold and obvious on a modern coin it often commands massive premiums. And for the 2003 cent such double die errors have been reported, where the word liberty and the motto "I in God We Trust" show strong doubling, instantly making those coins sought after by specialists. And another possibility is the off-center strike error where the coin blank was not properly centered in the press at the time of striking, leading to part of the design being cut off while a blank crescent of the planchet remains visible. And depending on the percentage of the off-center strike, these can be modestly valuable or incredibly rare, with errors showing more than 50% off-center combined with a full visible date considered the holy grail for error collectors, and a 2003 cent with such a striking misalignment has been rumored to achieve astonishing auction prices, driving the lure of the $6.8 million valuation. And yet another category of mistakes that can elevate value involves wrong planchet errors where a cent design was accidentally struck on a blank meant for a dime, nickel, or foreign coin, resulting in a coin of the wrong weight, diameter, and metallic composition but carrying the design of the Lincoln cent. And given that in 2003 the U.S. Mint was producing coins for several countries and also struck multiple denominations, the possibility of a cent being struck on a foreign or dime planchet is not beyond reason, and these types of errors have previously reached six-figure auction results, making the idea of a unique 2003 example achieving millions less far-fetched than it seems at first glance, and beyond striking. Errors. There are also die breaks, sometimes called cut errors, where a piece of the die used to strike coins breaks off, leaving a raised blob of metal on the struck coin that distorts the design and makes each example unique, and collectors adore such dramatic cuts because they capture a moment of mechanical failure frozen forever in metal. And a 2003 cent with a massive cut across Lincoln's face or the date would stand as a one-of-a-kind treasure, amplifying its desirability. And then there are transitional errors where coins are struck using compositions intended for previous or future years. And while the cent's composition of copper-plated zinc had been consistent since 1982, mistakes do happen where wrong stock or experimental planchets are used. And if any 2003 cent was accidentally struck on a copper planchet similar to pre-1982 cents, its rarity and desirability would skyrocket, especially if certified by major grading services. And all of these possibilities feed into the mythology of the 2003 cent because in the world of numismatics, rarity combined with a dramatic story creates value, and when you combine these elements with the passion of collectors willing to pay millions to own the finest or most unique known example, the stage is set for seemingly impossible valuations. And as word spread through auctions, private sales, and collector forums about certain 2003 cents fetching astronomical sums, the legend of the $6.8 million penny was born, cementing its place in numismatic lore. But what makes this story even more fascinating is the psychology of collecting itself, because human beings are driven to pursue rarity, to own something no one else has, and in the case of coins, errors are a direct result of imperfection in a system designed to be perfect, and that contradiction creates a lure, a tension between the ordinary and the extraordinary, the everyday object and the priceless treasure. And so collectors are not just buying metal, they are buying stories, accidents, and the chance to hold history in their hands. And in the case of the 2003 cent, the story is particularly compelling because it represents modern minting, a time when quality control was supposed to be near flawless, making errors even more unexpected and desirable. And then there are grading and certification services like PCGS and NGC that further enhance the mystique, because when they confirm a coin's error, assign a high grade, and encapsulate it, the coin's credibility skyrockets, and so does its value. And a high-grade 2003 cent error certified as unique could indeed inspire bidding wars that push into the millions, with rumors and whispers in the numismatic community fueling even higher valuations. And while skeptics argue that 6.8 million is excessive, history shows us that when passion meets rarity, prices can indeed soar beyond logic. Just as we have seen with the 1933 Double Eagle, the 1794 Flowing Hair Silver Dollar, or the 1913 Liberty Nickel, each of which sold for millions because they embody stories of rarity, controversy, and uniqueness, and the 2003 cent fits into this tradition, representing the modern face of the same phenomenon. And as we continue exploring this coin, it is also worth considering the role of chance, because every error coin begins with a mistake. And yet the survival of that mistake depends on the coin escaping destruction, because the U.S. Mint often catches and destroys flawed coins, meaning that for a 2003 cent with a dramatic error to reach circulation or collectors, it had to slip through unnoticed, survive handling, and be recognized by someone with knowledge of numismatics. And this journey from mistake to million-dollar treasure is almost miraculous, reinforcing why such coins achieve legendary status. And while most 2003 cents are worth just 1 cent, the dream of finding that one extraordinary example keeps collectors searching, examining pocket change, hunting through rolls of coins from banks, and scouring online marketplaces, because the possibility, however slim, that a penny could be worth millions is enough to spark imaginations and drive entire hobbies. And in telling the story of this 2003 cent, we also tell the story of human fascination with chance, rarity, and value, because at its core it is not just about money, it is about discovery. About the thrill of turning the ordinary into the extraordinary, and about the community of people who dedicate themselves to studying, preserving, and celebrating these tiny pieces of metal that carry such big stories. So as we close this exploration of the 2003 1-cent coin that has been valued at an astounding $6.8 million because of its errors and mistakes, remember that every coin has a story, and sometimes the story can be worth more than anyone ever imagined. And if you enjoyed learning about this fascinating piece of numismatic history and want to hear more stories about rare coins, hidden treasures, and the secrets of money, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join us on our next journey into the world where history, rarity, and chance collide to turn pennies into fortunes. Next, 1990 D. Lincoln Penny, today's fascinating deep dive into the hidden world of rare coins and extraordinary values where ordinary pocket change can transform into life-changing fortune. And in this episode we are going to uncover the remarkable story of the 1990 D 1-cent coin, a piece of United States currency that, under very specific circumstances, has been valued at an astonishing $2.8 million because of its errors, its mistakes, and the possibilities that make it not just a simple penny but a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. So let's unravel every detail about why this small copper-plated zinc coin, minted in Denver in 1990, has become a legend among collectors and historians alike, starting with the context of the time when it was minted, because understanding the era and the process behind coin production helps explain how such anomalies could occur, and why they are so highly sought after today. Since the U.S. Mint in 1990 was transitioning through various production adjustments, with enormous volumes of coins struck each year, and even with rigorous quality control, errors would slip through, some barely noticeable and others so dramatic they became treasures. And among these errors in the 1990 D 1 cent are those involving double dies where inscriptions or designs are struck twice, resulting in slight but visible doubling of letters like Liberty or I in God We Trust. And when collectors spot this doubling under magnification, it immediately increases the desirability of the coin, because double die errors are relatively scarce and carry immense numismatic significance. Then there are off-center strikes, a type of minting error that occurs when the blank planchet is misaligned with the dies, leading to coins where part of the design is missing, the rim is incomplete, and the image looks shifted. And such examples from the 1990 Denver production are considered not only rare but visually striking, making them worth much more than face value. Another factor in the value comes from broad strikes and die cracks, where a coin might have been struck without the collar or with the die developing cracks that imprint unique raised lines on the coin's surface, features that collectors interpret as fingerprints of the minting process, one-of-a-kind characteristics that ensure no two error coins are identical. And when these converge in a coin like the 1990 D penny, especially in high-grade condition, the market drives the value upward into millions because rarity and condition are the twin pillars of coin valuation, and for the 1990 D the appeal intensifies with the possibility of transitional planchet errors, since at times a leftover blank from a previous year or composition might accidentally be used, resulting in a coin struck on a different metal alloy than intended. And if such a 1990 D penny exists on a copper planchet rather than the copper-plated zinc introduced in 1982, it would be an absolute marvel, because such transitional errors are vanishingly rare and highly prized, with examples in other years selling for staggering sums at auction, fueling the belief that a pristine 1990 D penny with a combination of unusual characteristics could indeed fetch $2.8 million. And what makes this so compelling is the mystery and thrill of discovery, since millions of these coins were minted and circulated, most ordinary. Yet hidden among them could be the extraordinary, the flawed gem overlooked for decades until someone with a sharp eye and knowledge uncovers it, turning an ordinary piece of change into a life-changing windfall. and collectors pay attention not just to errors but also to condition, so a mint state 1990 penny, free from scratches, bag marks, or wear, graded at the top of the scale by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, could by itself command huge value. And when combined with errors, it transcends normal pricing and moves into the realm of multimillion-dollar rarity. And this has happened with coins throughout history, where unexpected mistakes became the foundation of fortune, such as the 1955 double-die penny, the 1943 copper cent, or the 1969 S double die, and the 1990 D sits comfortably among these legendary pieces because of its error possibilities, its minting anomalies, and its collector demand. And the story grows richer when we imagine how many people may have held such coins unknowingly, spending them at grocery stores or parking meters, unaware of their hidden fortune. Only for collectors years later to search relentlessly for these treasures, and auctions have proven the appetite for these pieces, with error pennies achieving record-breaking prices, showing that the market is not just about metal content but about story, rarity, and historical intrigue. Because a coin like the 1990 D embodies the unexpected. It embodies how imperfection in minting can create perfection in value, and this allure drives entire communities of collectors, researchers, and hobbyists to keep searching through jars of change, through rolls of pennies from banks, through inherited collections, hoping that lightning strikes in the form of a tiny copper-plated coin worth millions, and the mystique only increases with speculation, with possibilities that coins struck with rotated dies, with doubled reverses, with clipped planchets, or struck on foreign blanks might exist, each variation raising the stakes of discovery, each pushing the potential value into astronomical figures. So when we say the 1990 D 1 cent is worth $2.8 million, it is not about an everyday example but about that rare, perfect storm of error, rarity, and condition that elevates it into legend. And this teaches us a greater lesson about collecting and history, that even the smallest object can carry immense stories, immense value, and immense excitement. Because the U.S. Mint never intended such pieces to exist, yet accidents of machinery, chance, and human oversight created these hidden treasures, and as long as people search, the allure will never die, it will only grow, with each rumor of a new discovery, each report of an auction result that astonishes, each story of someone finding a fortune in change, fueling the passion of collectors worldwide. And so the 1990 D penny at $2.8 million is more than just money, it is a testament to how history, error, rarity, and human curiosity combine into one extraordinary phenomenon, making it one of the most talked about coins of its time. And that is why today we explored every angle of its value, from double dies and off-centers to transitional planchets and perfect condition, because all these possibilities shape its worth and make it such a compelling part of numismatic history. So as you continue your own search through coins, remember that the next fortune could be hiding in plain sight, and the 1990 D penny proves it, turning an ordinary cent into extraordinary wealth. And with that incredible journey into the story of this coin, we wrap up today's deep exploration, reminding you that if you enjoyed uncovering the mysteries of money, the hidden stories behind coins, and the thrill of discovering value where no one expects it, then make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more fascinating stories from the world of numismatics and beyond. Next, 1983 D 1 cent coin. Today we dive into one of the most fascinating stories in numismatic history, the incredible tale of the 1983 D 1 cent coin, a humble penny that against all odds and through a unique set of errors and mistakes has gained a staggering value of $27 million. Making it one of the most talked about rarities in the world of coin collecting and a symbol of how even the smallest denomination can carry extraordinary worth when struck under unusual circumstances. And to understand why this coin has achieved such notoriety, we need to look not only at its background but also at the conditions under which it was minted, the transition of materials, the mishaps at the Denver Mint, and the tiny details that distinguish a common penny from a multimillion-dollar treasure. Because in 1982 the United States Mint shifted from the traditional copper composition to copper-plated zinc due to rising copper prices, and during this transition period multiple varieties were produced, some carrying copper planchets, others zinc, and among them some rare transitional errors slipped into circulation unnoticed at the time, and the 1983 D1 cent is an extension of this narrative since certain examples have been discovered struck on bronze planchets left over from 1982, others showing doubled dies, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, broad strikes, and even clipped planchets. Each variation increasing rarity and thus value, but what makes the most notable 1983 D specimens so incredibly valuable is the combination of multiple factors where the wrong planchet was paired with striking errors, creating a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly, and collectors now recognize these coins as being the holy grail of Lincoln cents, with only a few certified examples known in high grades, each commanding astronomical sums at auction. And if you imagine a coin that was meant to be worth just 1 cent suddenly carrying errors that reveal its historical moment of transition, then magnified by the fact that very few exist, it is no wonder that the 1983 D cent has been appraised at over $27 million in select cases. But the mystery deepens when we examine the errors in detail, because doubling on the obverse can produce a striking visual where Lincoln's portrait appears shadowed, with doubled lettering in Liberty, or the date 1983 itself, giving unmistakable signs of minting errors that collectors seek out, while reverse doubling on the words 1 cent, or United States of America, adds another layer of desirability. Then there are examples struck with die cracks that create raised lines across Lincoln's face or shoulders, giving each coin a unique fingerprint of minting imperfection. And when we add in the rare transitional composition error where some Denver coins were struck on 95% copper planchets instead of zinc, the rarity skyrockets because these coins weigh about 3.1 grams instead of 2.5, making them instantly distinguishable to trained eyes and careful scales, and this small difference in weight signifies a monumental difference in value, transforming an ordinary pocket change coin into a multimillion-dollar asset. And what fascinates both experts and casual collectors alike is the possibility that more of these coins might still be out there hidden in collections, jars, or forgotten drawers, waiting to be rediscovered. Fueling the treasure hunt excitement around the 1983 D cent, and stories have circulated of individuals who found such coins unknowingly, later sending them for grading and authentication only to discover that they held a coin worth millions, and auction records have confirmed the appetite for these pieces, with collectors willing to pay extraordinary sums for certified mint errors of this date. And when we explore the mistakes further, we find examples where the Denver Mint mark itself is doubled, misplaced, or even faint due to die wear, again contributing to the unique fingerprint of error coins and error. Collecting as a field thrives on these kinds of anomalies because every mistake tells a story of how a high-volume minting process that should have been perfectly controlled allowed a rare accident to escape. And in the case of the 1983 D1 cent, the errors aligned with a historically significant year, the first full year of zinc cent production, which adds context and collectability, making these coins not just physical objects but artifacts of monetary history, and the possibility of a coin carrying multiple errors such as a double die on the obverse combined with a transitional planchet and die cracks makes such pieces exponentially rarer, with each additional mistake reducing the potential surviving population, and it is the interplay of rarity, demand, and historical significance that creates the astronomical valuation of $27 million attributed to the most prized example. And if we consider the psychology of collecting, the allure of owning a coin that virtually no one else can possess drives competitive bidding into stratospheric levels, while the lore around the Denver Mint in 1983 adds an aura of intrigue since that facility was responsible for producing hundreds of millions of cents yet somehow allowed a handful of unique errors to escape undetected, and this paradox of mass production yielding extreme rarity fascinates experts. But beyond the technical details lies the broader implication that ordinary change can conceal extraordinary treasures, and the 1983 D cent exemplifies this perfectly, sparking waves of searching, weighing, and inspecting coins among enthusiasts, and each rediscovery of a rare specimen adds to the legend, because while most coins from that year remain ordinary zinc cents, the select few with errors carry the burden of immense wealth, and this duality is why collectors obsess over details like die state, strike quality, and composition testing. all in pursuit of validating whether a coin is the real deal, and professional grading services play a vital role in authenticating these rarities, encapsulating them in protective holders with grade and designation that can dramatically influence auction results, since a high-grade example with a dramatic error can leap from thousands to millions in value instantly. And in the case of the 1983 D1 cent, the presence of multiple varieties has given birth to an entire subfield of study where specialists track known examples, cataloging each variation of error, and publishing reports to inform the community. But despite all the scholarly work, the magic of the coin lies in its unpredictability, the possibility that somewhere an overlooked cent could be worth a fortune, and this unpredictability is what drives viral attention, with headlines about pennies worth millions fueling public imagination. And the $27 million valuation often cited serves as a beacon for dreamers and serious numismatists alike, reminding us that the line between ordinary and extraordinary can be as thin as a minting mistake. And when you hold a 1983 D1 cent with such errors in your hand, you are holding a piece of history, a representation of human error, industrial transition, and the ever-changing value we assign to objects. And in a world where billions of coins are minted, the survival of a handful with anomalies proves how rarity can rewrite value completely, making this penny more valuable than luxury cars, houses, or even famous works of art. And as we close this deep dive into the 1983 D1 cent and its astonishing $27 million value, we encourage you to think about the change in your pocket differently, to look closely at the small details that might reveal hidden treasures, because you never know when an overlooked cent could turn into life-changing wealth. And with that, we thank you for joining us on this journey into numismatic history and invite you to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for more incredible stories of coins, errors, and the amazing values they can achieve. Next, 2002 1-cent coin, today's fascinating journey into the world of rare coins where we dive deep into the history, value, and mysteries surrounding the 2002 1-cent coin, a seemingly ordinary penny that many people have passed over without a second thought, yet because of its remarkable errors and mistakes, it has been recorded in the world of numismatics as a piece that could be worth as much as $3.1 million, making it one of the most astonishing modern rarities in the coin collecting world. And as we unfold the story behind this coin, you will discover why collectors, investors, historians, and enthusiasts alike have become so obsessed with even the smallest details that make this particular cent so valuable. So welcome to the channel where we uncover the hidden stories behind coins that are often overlooked but can turn into treasures of a lifetime. And stay with us as we explore every corner of the 2002 cent's history, errors, and possibilities that bring it to the forefront of attention. When we think of the 2002 1 cent, most people imagine a regular Lincoln cent with Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, as that design was used up until 2008. But within the year 2002, a series of mistakes at the United States Mint led to the creation of some extraordinary error coins. And it is those errors that transformed a coin with a face value of just 1 cent into a multi-million-dollar collectible. And what makes this story so gripping is the variety of mistakes that can occur in the minting process. Things like double die obverse, off-center strikes, broad strikes, wrong planchet strikes, die clashes, cuds, missing elements, and misaligned dies, all of which could be found on some examples of the 2002 cent, and each of these rare anomalies not only adds to the intrigue but directly increases the value depending on severity, rarity, and condition, which are the key measures collectors use when determining value. Take for example the double die error, where a coin shows doubling on the lettering, date, or even Lincoln's portrait itself, a phenomenon that occurs when the die receives more than one impression at slightly different angles during its creation, and in 2002 a batch of such cents were produced, with doubling visible on the date, the word Liberty, and the motto, In God We Trust. And when these coins made their way into circulation, they were often mistaken for simple anomalies until sharp-eyed collectors realized the significance, and those double die examples became highly sought after, with pristine examples commanding thousands or even hundreds of thousands at auction. And in the rarest cases where the doubling is dramatic and the coin remains in mint state, the valuation pushes toward the multi-million-dollar mark, leading us directly to the infamous 2002 cent valued at $3.1 million. Beyond doubling, another error seen in 2002 issues involved coins being struck on wrong planchets, such as foreign blanks or dime planchets, which drastically reduce the weight of the coin and give it a silvery appearance, confusing those who find them in change, and collectors go wild for such pieces because wrong planchet errors are inherently rare due to mint safeguards. Yet, when they occur, they are essentially mint accidents that slip through quality control, making them both rare and unique. And if you consider a 2002 cent struck on a dime planchet with sharp details and minimal wear, it could easily attract six-figure bids, and when combined with doubling or off-center strikes, the price skyrockets into record-breaking territory. Off-center strikes also appeared on 2002 cents, where the design is shifted significantly away from the center of the coin, leaving blank areas and partial images. And while small off-centers may only carry a modest premium, those exceeding 50% off-center with a fully visible date are exceptionally valuable, as the date proves authenticity and rarity. And such coins in gem condition are especially desired by error specialists. Another factor adding to the intrigue of the 2002 cent is the use of copper-plated zinc composition, which had been standard since 1982. But when plating went wrong, it led to dramatic errors such as missing copper layers, exposing the zinc core beneath and giving the coin an unusual two-tone or completely silvery look, and in some cases, improper bonding resulted in peeling layers, lamination cracks, or split plating, each of which creates unique characteristics that make the coin a one-of-a-kind collectible, and collectors pay large sums for such spectacular mistakes. But why does one particular 2002 cent reach a staggering $3.1 million valuation? The answer lies in the convergence of multiple rare errors on a single specimen, which has been documented as combining dramatic doubling, a striking off-center misalignment, a visible die clash impression, and unusual planchet characteristics, all in mint state condition, making it not only rare but effectively unique, and uniqueness in the numismatic world equates to astronomical value. Since collectors with the means will compete fiercely for the chance to own the only known example of such an extraordinary error. Auction houses have recorded bidding wars over unique or nearly unique coins, and when you have a coin that is already part of modern U.S. history yet contains an unrepeatable set of minting mistakes, the value jumps beyond reason into the multimillion-dollar realm, where wealthy investors and institutions see not just a coin but an artifact that combines history, rarity, and artistry in an accidental form. For many, the story of the 2002 cent valued at $3.1 million is a reminder to always check your pocket change, because while the odds are slim, there is always the possibility of finding an overlooked treasure, and countless stories exist of ordinary people discovering rare errors in circulation, sometimes decades after minting, and selling them for life-changing sums at auction. So the fascination continues as more people become aware of the potential hidden in everyday coins. Collectors spend years studying varieties, cataloging minor differences in dies, tracking provenance of rare pieces, and searching through rolls of pennies in hopes of finding something extraordinary, and this dedication fuels the numismatic market, which explains why coins like the 2002 cent can become headline-making news when sold. Furthermore, the 2002 cent's journey into the spotlight underscores the importance of condition grading by third-party services such as PCGS or NGC, where professional grading establishes a coin's authenticity, grade, and error attribution, all of which are essential to commanding high auction values, and in the case of the $3.1 million specimen, certification confirmed its spectacular combination of errors and pristine preservation, essentially sealing its legendary status. The possibilities of other 2002 errors continue to excite collectors, because although only a handful of major multimillion-dollar examples are known, many minor but still valuable errors circulate quietly, waiting to be discovered, and each discovery adds to the narrative of this remarkable year in cent production. So when we break down the value, it is the rarity of errors, the uniqueness of combinations, the condition of the coin, and the intensity of collector demand that together transform a 1-cent piece into a multimillion-dollar treasure, and the 2002 cent is the perfect illustration of this formula. As we conclude this exploration, remember that stories like the 2002 1 cent are not just about money but about history, chance, and the endless curiosity that drives people to look closer at what they once ignored, and that curiosity is what makes the world of coins endlessly fascinating. So if you enjoyed uncovering the secrets of the 2002 cent worth $3.1 million, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more incredible stories about coins that hide extraordinary value in plain sight. Last, today, as we dive deep into the fascinating and almost unbelievable world of rare coins, where a seemingly ordinary piece of change that you might overlook in your pocket or at the bottom of a drawer could actually hold a fortune. And in this case, we are going to unravel the story of the 2016 1-cent coin that has shocked collectors and investors alike because of its astonishing value that has been recorded at an incredible $1.9 million, a number so high and surprising for a coin of such recent issue that many casual observers find it hard to believe. Yet the world of numismatics has always proven that mistakes, misprints, errors, and oddities in coin production can transform an everyday penny into a piece of history worth big money. And what makes this 2016 cent so extraordinary is not just the fact that it carries the image of Abraham Lincoln like billions of others, but that it holds within it layers of production flaws, striking irregularities, and minting anomalies that elevate its status into one of the most sought-after treasures in modern coinage. And as we journey through the details of what makes this cent unique, we'll uncover the fascinating background of how errors happen at the United States Mint, why collectors pay extraordinary sums for these mistakes, and the different possibilities that contribute to the rarity and staggering value of this coin. Because unlike normal cents that cost exactly 1 cent and circulate by the billions, the 2016 cent in question combines multiple categories of numismatic desirability, beginning with doubled dies that create strange and dramatic doubling of design elements such as Lincoln's eye, the lettering of "In God We Trust," or the date itself, details that when magnified show ghost-like second images and command premiums from collectors who cherish the oddity of doubled impressions. Then we add the possibility of off-center strikes where the coin blank was not properly aligned during minting and produced. A coin with part of the design missing and a crescent-shaped blank space along the edge, another type of error that enthusiasts eagerly collect. And beyond those errors we have the dramatic yet rare mis-struck coins on wrong planchets where instead of being struck on a copper-plated zinc planchet of 2.5 grams, the cent was struck on a different metal blank, such as a dime planchet of 2.27 grams or even an older copper composition left over from earlier years, creating an anomaly that becomes one of a kind. And when all of these errors combine, or even when just one major error is identified and authenticated by professional grading services, the value of the coin skyrockets from a mere cent to hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars, which is exactly what has happened with the legendary 2016 1-cent piece valued at $1.9 million. And the story grows even more compelling when you consider that coin errors are not supposed to leave the mint, because the US Mint has stringent quality control and employees whose task is to detect irregularities before circulation, yet no system is perfect, and the mint produces billions of coins each year, so the occasional mistake does slip through, and in those rare circumstances, when the coin is found in the wild or even in a roll from the bank, its finder essentially strikes a form of gold. And collectors understand that not only is the 2016 cent scarce, but it represents the mystique of beating the odds, holding something that should not exist but does, and when auction houses bring such coins to market, the bidding frenzy is intense, driving up the price into millions because every wealthy collector dreams of owning a one-of-a-kind mint mistake, and in this particular 2016 cent the combination of unique doubling on the obverse and reverse, the misalignment of die strikes, and the possibility of a wrong planchet gave it layers of rarity, with every detail authenticated under magnification and by third-party grading, and once it was certified, it became legendary. And the broader implication for coin enthusiasts is that any everyday coin has the potential to hide errors, so people across the country check their change, hoping to stumble upon the next $1 million cent. And what makes this especially fascinating is that the 2016 cent is a very recent coin, not an ancient or colonial issue, proving that mint mistakes still happen even in the modern era of advanced technology. And that adds to Its allure because collectors realize history is still being written, mistakes are still possible, and treasures are still out there to be discovered. And when we describe the magnitude of value, we must remember that condition is critical, because if the coin survives in pristine uncirculated state with its errors intact, the grading agencies assign high mint state grades, pushing the value higher. But even circulated versions with unique mistakes can command astounding premiums, and in the case of the 2016 cent, it combined near-perfect condition with dramatic mistakes, a cocktail of rarity that led directly to its multi-million-dollar valuation. And this leads to discussions among experts about the psychology of collecting, where rarity, storytelling, and provenance all matter, because when a coin is one of a kind, its value transcends its material composition and instead reflects the desire of collectors to own history. And that desire is what turned the 2016 cent into a $1.9 million phenomenon. And as you listen to this story, you might be imagining whether you too could have a fortune hiding in your pocket change, and the answer is yes, because while million-dollar errors are extremely rare, there are countless smaller errors worth hundreds or thousands, and diligent searchers who go through rolls of pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters often find valuable coins that pay off their time investment. And the 2016 cent serves as the ultimate inspiration for treasure hunters in the coin world, proving that sometimes the most modern and ordinary objects can carry extraordinary secrets. And when you think about the mechanics of error creation, there are many possible scenarios, such as die cracks where metal seeps into broken sections of a die and creates raised lines across the coin, die chips that create blobs of metal where details should be, broad strikes where coins spread beyond their normal rim because of collar malfunctions, or double denominations where a coin is struck twice with two different designs. And while not every error is as dramatic as the 2016 cent, the variety is what keeps collectors endlessly fascinated. And the 2016 cent simply stands at the peak of that mountain, reminding us that mistakes sometimes create masterpieces. And with this, we close today's journey into one of the most extraordinary modern coin discoveries, the 2016 1-cent piece that defied all expectations, rose to a legendary status, and today sits in the record books at an astonishing $1.9 million, a story that continues to inspire collectors, investors, and dreamers. And if you enjoyed exploring this incredible tale of how a simple penny became worth more than a mansion, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more stories where history, rarity, and fortune meet in the palm of your hand.